Do you want to change the font on your WordPress site but cannot figure out how to get this done? In this video, I'm going to guide you on the possible options you can take to change the font size of your WordPress site. I'm going to show you how to increase or decrease your font size using various approaches. If you're ready, let us start. Hello and welcome back to this tutorial on how to change the WordPress font size. There are various ways you can apply to change WordPress font size. If you're on Classic Editor, you can use the default way, as I'm going to show you. The new WordPress editor also provides ways to change the paragraphs sizes, the headings, and so on. If you want advanced options for changing the font size, you can go for some advanced editor tool like Tiny MCE, a plugin that allows you to change or customize the font size. For advanced users, you can change the WordPress font size using theme settings options. This is going to depend on the kind of the WordPress theme you are running on your site. Some themes come with advanced options to change the font size, while some do not have very advanced options to change the font size. In that case, if you want to change the font size across the site-wide changes, you may want to try out adding additional custom CSS, as I'm going to quickly show you here. So we begin on our dashboard in WordPress, and in this case, I have an existing post I created here to demonstrate how to change the font size. First, to change the font size using a classic editor, you go to the post, click on edit, and you have the post here. So if we wanted to change the font size of this paragraph, we would use the paragraph option here. If we want to change it to a header, we would do that. If we wanted to change this, we would click on that. This toggle bar hides more options for your WordPress editor. So in this case, if we didn't want this to be a header, like I did, we would change it back to a paragraph. Then we can look at more options to make this text larger. Like in this case, we would move to text editor and apply a custom CSS directly here. Those are the two most basic ways you change the font size if you are working with the classic editor. Now, I want us to switch back to the Gutenberg editor and figure out how we can change the font size in WordPress. But before we do that, I want us to install a quick plugin that allows us to use options here to change the font size. So you move to plugins, add new, you search for Tiny MCE. We are looking for the advanced option. There is advanced option. If you can't figure out, we can use editor because it's an advanced editor. We search for that plugin. This is the plugin, Advanced Editor Tools. It was previously known as Tiny MCE Advanced. That's why I was confusing. So you click on install. And as the plugin installs, you click on activate to install to make it active. Then we can go back to our post, and as you can see, we have additional options to change the font size. If you remember previously, we didn't have this additional option here for the font size. So this allows us to quickly select and change our font size to 18. In this case, we are not changing the paragraph to a header. We are simply changing the font size. So once we select and apply the font size, like I've selected 24, and you click on update, you should comfortably see the new font size on the front end. So these options will also work with the new WordPress editor, as well as the old classic editor. So we now move to the next option of changing the font size if you are working with the Gutenberg editor. Switch back to the Gutenberg editor, we need to deactivate the classic editor plugin. We click on the deactivate, and once we go back to this post, we click on edit, we have our new WordPress editor, in this case, the Gutenberg editor. So we can change the font size by applying the various options that Gutenberg brings across. So we can select the text and look for options like across here, we have options for formatting the text. We have several options, like down here, we have options to make the text large under typography. Like in this case, we can make it medium, large, XL, small. We can access the additional default options where we can add classes to change the font size using advanced CSS options. So in this case, you want to look for these options, like you can also change the font size based on letter spacing, appearance, and much more. So for this particular paragraph, we are looking for the option to make it maybe large or XL. Once you have applied those changes on the paragraph, you can click on update. And once you visit the page, as you can see, your text, your font size will change. So there are other options you can apply to change the font size. Like in this case, where we applied typography, we applied the entire paragraph. An alternative way to change the font size in WordPress is when you're adding a new block. In this case, you can click here and add a block. First, we remove these blocks. We choose to add a new block. You can choose to add a heading. A heading comes in different sizes. HTML headings move from H1 to H6, and they vary in the size. H1 being the biggest heading. In this case, like if we have some example heading here, and we've selected H2, it's going to be a H2 header. If we make H3, it's smaller. H1, it's bigger. H4 is smaller. All down to H6. It's going to vary based on the type of header you've selected on your Gutenberg editor. Simply, that's how you change your text on the Gutenberg editor. If you'd like to have options to change the font across the site that are advanced, in this case, we are looking for theme options. Depending with your WordPress theme, changing your font size will vary. In my case, I'm working with one of my favorite WordPress themes, which is GeneratePress. GeneratePress comes in two options, a free version and a premium version. In this case, I am on free version that you can install free from the WordPress repo. So to change, in most cases, under appearance, you're going to see a theme option. menu that you can use to change the font size. So in this case, under appearance in your specific theme, you can check out if there appears options here for theme options. But for WordPress, we work with customizer. So you can check out if there are existing options to change the font size. And those options are going to be within something like topography. Like in this case, that's how WordPress gives us the options to change the the font size. Like in this case, we can make the font size bold. This is the target font size. We can make it bigger. We can add the different style. We can change the font family. In this case, we can make it bigger, as you can see. In this case, I'm using theme options. Most of the WordPress themes will have some kind of theme options. So you need to just check out if those theme options are available under appearance, as well as under the customizer options. To navigate to customizer option across all themes, the option will be under appearance, customize, and you can comfortably change the font size of your WordPress theme. For example, in this case, if I would like to change the font size of the site title, I would select the site title and change the font size, then click on the publish button for the changes to be effective. Once you close that option, that customizer option, the font size will be successfully changed. So that's how we use the theme options to change the font size of our WordPress theme. Additionally, we can work with the last and the site-wide way of changing custom by adding custom CSS. This gives you the ultimate control over how to change your WordPress font size. In this case, you need to be savvy with how WordPress works, especially the style sheets. Style sheets, you can add your own custom styles under customizer additional CSS. I would like to revert this back to the font size by deleting it here and apply the same font size using CSS. In this case, I'm going to add additional CSS to my WordPress theme by adding it to the additional CSS in the customizer. So to help me select an element on the screen, I right-click and use the select element to allow me to select this item. Once I've selected the item, in this case, I'm working with a link that has the class main hyphen title, and it's a link. As you can see, it's an A. So I can apply my custom CSS style, font size style here. And as you can see on the screen, it changes. This change is not effective unless I apply this CSS to my theme. In this case, I can copy this, my additional custom CSS, then place a comment, then publish to successfully change the WordPress site title font size. So in this case, if I close this tool and I refresh, you can see my font size has changed. If I would like to change the heading, I would apply the same approach. I would figure out using my tool the font size, the element. In this case, this element has an entry title class, and this is the class. So I would give it a font size of maybe 22 pixel. Maybe we do 28, maybe 30. Sometimes when you're changing in CSS, you can override it You can override it. For example, if we strictly want it to be 50-50, we can, and it doesn't work, we can override it using important by overriding those other options that are enforced in your theme. In this case, we don't need to override it. We can also maybe make the font bold. Maybe we can give it a font weight of 600, and maybe you can change the color. Give it maybe we can use the color selector. Maybe for now we can use, first of all, we can use black. Then we use this option here to use the color selector. And in this case, we need to apply the important rule to override. So in this case, we can use important. So uh, depending with your theme, like in this case, you can see it simply needs more work for that font size, font color to work, that style to work. Depending on your theme and the theme options available, that's going to depend on how you work around changing the font size. So in this case, we want to pay attention to what we needed to. In this case, this is the font size. So we need to copy this to our custom style sheet, and the custom style sheet is available under additional CSS in your customizer. So down here, we place our options there, then publish. Then once we update, you can see our change is effective. So those are the ways you can change your WordPress font size. And as you can see, it's not as difficult as it sounds. Like, you can either use the options provided by the classic editor, the default ways. Gutenberg allows you to change the font size by using small, medium, XL, under typography. You can change the font size using the advanced tools, like the advanced, the previously Tiny MCA plugin, or you can use theme options available in your theme. And finally, you can use the additional custom CSS, which gives you full control. One quick last caution: when you're editing your WordPress theme styles, it's important you work with a child theme. These changes added to the CSS, additional custom CSS, they are not lost when you're updating your theme. But the best approach would be to work with a child theme. A child theme guarantees you don't lose your changes once the parent theme has been updated. That's it for today. I hope you can now comfortably change your WordPress font size. Thank you. In this tutorial, I guided you on how to change your WordPress font size. I hope you can now comfortably change the WordPress font size on your site. If you found this useful, kindly give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Thank you.